Welcome to Hynafol, where I got to spend my days fully living as a fantasy character. This event takes place at the gorgeous Texas Sherwood Forest Fairgrounds, where once a year, hundreds of people will come together to fully immerse themselves in a medieval experience, which means everyone there is dressing up and acting as if they were part of a fantasy world. And you get to choose your adventure, whether it be fighting for your guild, brewing potions, bartering resources for in-game currency, starting a religion, or simply making new friends at the tavern. However, you are also part of an ongoing story, so there are plenty of surprises along the way.
I apparently have an assassination hit on me today. Wait, goblins took the castle?
And your choices during the events will impact the fate of Hynafol in one epic final battle.
We will overcome it! Free Hynafol! We're victorious!
So come with me on my journey into the mist for what might be one of the most fun, nerdy, and unique experiences that is Hynafol. Hi there! So first and foremost, Hynafol is a LARP. And if you don't know what LARP is, it is basically the new nerdiest thing that you can do now that D&D is more mainstream. It is basically a giant game of make-believe, but for adults. So while you're there, everyone is using character names, dressing up in medieval kits with armor, and going into battles, camping in medieval tents. So it really feels like you stepped into this whole nother fantasy world. So for me, this is my second LARP. I went to my first one earlier this year, and that was at Betrayal. And that ended up being one of the most fun weeks of my life, and I immediately fell in love with LARPing. So when the Hynafol team reached out and were like, hey, we recently started a new LARP in the States, would you like to go? So I packed up my kit and hopped on an ungodly early flight to Austin, Texas. Yeah, so going into this LARP, I did have a bit more confidence because, it wasn't my first rodeo. But maybe not too much because, it was only my second rodeo. You can only learn so much from one rodeo. However, Hynafol is very much a beginner-friendly event. Everyone there had a very wide range of roleplay experience. I met a lot of people there that this was their first ever LARP, and I also met people who had been LARPing for years. And even though that Hynafol has only been around for a few years, they've already done a fantastic job of creating this very friendly and welcoming community to everyone. Also, just how the event is set up in general, they have packages available where they will handle a lot of the logistical stuff for you, like providing meals during the game and also setting up and placing you in medieval tents. Which, since most people trying out a hobby for the first time don't have medieval tents lying around, it's very nice. What you do have to do before the event is come up with a character. This is who you are going to be during your time at Hynafol. And you can create whatever kind of character you want to play, as long as they're not a jerk. You still have to be a decent person while you're in character. I saw people there dressed as hobbits, orcs, and fae, and they have whole character backstories that they even develop into their costuming. And there are people who simply just pick a character name and are basically just themselves, but with a little bit of whimsy. So it can really be as in-depth or casual as you like. For my character, I was an elf. My name is Clover. That's all I came up with. I mean, did I basically just trade my furry ears for elf ears? Yes. Apparently, I like characters with distinguishable ears. Now, the Sherwood Forest Fairgrounds are already gorgeous, but once the game starts, it feels magical. Even if you've been to big Ren fairs before, it feels completely different. These grounds basically become our playground for a few days. Everyone there is committed to dressing up and fully being in character. Guilds will go all out in decorating their campsites. There are vendors there selling even more medieval gear. There are games and live music everywhere.
Tea and rum. One day when the talking is done, we'll take our leave and go. Ho!
Creating this atmosphere that just feels like you are really living in a medieval village, opposed to just visiting for the Ren Fair. Also, it's especially nice camping at a Ren Fair because, we actually have bathrooms and showers and electricity for lights. And it's completely up to you how you spend your time. There are a ton of events happening all the time. Lots of guilds would put out quests for other players to do that if you completed, you often got rewarded with in-game currency. Like there's a whole economy at Hynafol, and you get real metal coins to use of different values. Like at one point I got paid in a higher value coin, so I decided to go to the bank and break it down into smaller ones so I can use them for smaller purchases. Like I had to go run fantasy errands, which doesn't sound like it should be, but it was a lot of fun. And you could use these coins to either barter for in-game resources.
That's true, you play the market, eh?
If I go for coin right now, I don't take what I can get.
Do you build buildings? Are you interested?
No, but I know
in
people.
This is just bargaining chips for you then, see?
Yeah.
Or a lot of players brought stuff to sell, like handmade goods or little thrifted trinkets. One day they even had a whole bazaar set up that was all player run and all for in-game currency.
We do the carnival table, we free to peruse. Many things at fair places.
The whole thing just had the vibes of ye olde fantasy farmers markets. While everyone is there pretty much going on their own adventure, having their own stories, Hynafol also has a big overarching story that they've kind of integrated into every part of the game, and has been developing year to year. The lore of Hynafol is loosely based on the legend of King Arthur, so all the NPCs pushing the big story forward are pretty recognizable. And as someone who was absolutely obsessed with BBC Merlin in middle school, I truly was out there living my dream. The general idea is that Hynafol is a lost ancient land surrounded by mist, and King Arthur has brought all the guilds there to help rebuild the land. And to help get everyone caught up on what happened at the previous year's event, at the opening ceremony they actually put on a little play kind of quickly summarizing everything in a really fun way. And then they let us know that the conflict for this year was that all the guilds had to decide who they wanted to bring back magic to the land. Did we want it to be Merlin or Mordred? And how did the guilds decide this, you may ask? Well, the only way we know how. On the battlefield, of course.
But imagine that the flames are trying to kill you as we watch there.
Along the right side or the left side. Once we break in, all of our pikes will forward.
Those who follow the old way! Join me in prayer!
These big battles, by far, are my favorite part of LARPs. Because everyone gets all kitted out in their best armor, and you have these giant shield walls that like 9-foot pikes are trying to break through. And there's skirmishers, and there's archers. The feeling you get when you're facing down the opposing army, you can hear the drums in the background, there are generals barking orders, and you're holding your ground, weapon in hand, and you just get this adrenaline you can't get anywhere else. While it does feel intense in the moment, everyone there is still having fun. Like, there are stakes, both sides want to win, however, we're not taking it too seriously. We are a bunch of adults running around in the woods with foam sticks. Like, we're all just running around and laughing and taunting each other. I was definitely guilty of some taunting.
That's what you deserve.
In my defense, that archer had it coming. He knows what he did. So there were two big battles on 2 different days. One was at a front gate where both sides took turns seeing who could defend an objective the longest, and the other was in a big open field where we were fighting over control of specific checkpoints. On the second battle, I got to try out a tower shield and being on the shield wall, and it was a totally different gameplay experience being more defense compared to being more offensive on pike. Like, I felt powerful running out to the objective and then all of us locking our shields together. You know, until I would inevitably get bonked by a halberd. The fighting system for these battles are pretty simple. Each location gets 1 hit point. If you get hit in the arm, you can't use that arm anymore. If you get hit in the leg, you have to take a knee. And if you get hit in the chest, then dead. But you do get extra hit points for wearing armor. When you die, you either have to go back to respawn or try and get one of your guild members to bring you to a healer. Each side gets a certain amount of healers based on the guild's resources. They have like a little hourglass on them for 30 seconds, so once the timer's done, you're able to get back up and get back into the battle. And don't worry, safety is definitely the #1 priority at all these battles. All foam weapons that enter the battlefield are checked beforehand to make sure that they're up to the safety standard. All players get an overview of the rules and what you can and can't do with each weapon. And during the battle, there are stewards all over the field making sure everyone's following the rules, honoring their hits, and no one is hurt. I think that's why I love these battles so much, because you get like the unique experience of going to war. but everything's like safe and fun. But also, if battling's not your thing, you totally don't have to. A lot of people will come to the battles just to watch or hand out water. Now, when you're not battling, you're kind of just living your day-to-day in this medieval town. There are a ton of events to go and watch or either participate in. Like this year was their first ever tournament of a fantasy sport called Mball. I believe it was open for anyone to play, or you could just go and watch and cheer on your team. It's like two teams trying to get the ball, but everyone has like swords and there's healers, and if you're looking at this and going, hey, that looks a lot like Troll Ball from the Beakley LARP, I don't know what you're talking about. That one has a troll head as the ball. This one's a mace. It's completely different. They also had fantasy religions that you could join that were often doing like ceremonies.
Celebration of St. Carl. Today on the Feast of Stellaris.
Blessings of Helion upon you.
So you'd just be walking by and you hear a bunch of people praising the sun, or people praising the moon, or people praising money.
Make it rain gold.
Getting people to join these religions was how you would get like more healers and artifacts, but they also just were a lot of fun. Like there was one religion that was like the followers of the Mist Dragon. I'm pretty sure it's just a dragon these nuts jokes that went way too far and became a religion. You also don't have to be doing something the entire time. A lot of times people would chill at camp and talk to their friends, or just simply sit back, relax, and enjoy the beautiful grounds. I personally just did a lot of wandering when I was looking for something to do, and pretty much every time I would always stumble upon something fun.
Now, however, are you Fae?
I am not Fae.
You are not Fae. Excellent. Okay, well, you may have some side effects. Oh. So please eat what you like. If you want more of these, they will be available.
Okay, well, they're really quite delicious.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't see this being a problem at all. This is just how I act in the morning, so that's fine.
Like I was just walking past a guild, and next thing I knew, I was invited to the royal coronation of King Chastian III and IV, self-proclaimed once and future king, which is quite the bold statement considering that King Arthur is very much definitely canon.
I forget, peasants do not like to be called peasants. I apologize. Good day, the plebeians.
I'm not entirely sure which kingdom he's like the king of, but he did pour me champagne for a mimosa at his coronation, so I'm good with them. We love a humble king.
I wish to thank my most intimate lover, myself. Thank you, Felicia.
He also gave quite the performance at Guys. And if you want to know what Guys is, you're simply going to have to go to Hynafol to find out. All I can say is that the coins were flying. If you really wanted to find some good roleplay while also making some coin, you could join a vocation, which are basically just like fun jobs that you can get. There were a few vocations to choose from. The Guardians, which were basically like the town guard, and people could hire them for events if they thought another guild was up to something and wanted some extra protection. And this one, especially if you want good roleplay moments, because everyone wants to mess with the town guard.
You don't you try to strong-arm me, lawman. I know your game.
You can become a bard and get paid to do performances. I especially like this one because it really helped fill the land with lots of music and storytelling. Or you could become an alchemist. This is the one that I really wanted to do because then you could brew potions. They had this whole system for ingredient cards that had different rarity. Then you would need specific ingredients to successfully brew different potions. And some of these potions were really helpful, like healing potions. I say I tried to do this one. The whole way that you got started with it is that you had to forage for ingredients, which was finding like these specifically marked flowers out in like the world of Hynafol. I don't know if I just always went at the wrong time or if I'm just blind, but I never found one of these gosh darn flowers. So maybe I'll just like add that to my character, is that I'm just actually a failed alchemist. They also have vocations for if you want to do something a little bit more in the shadows, like become a thief of the Golden Rose or an assassin.
Apparently, I have an assassination hit on me tonight. But now I must wear this, and people are probably going to try
can kill me all night. If I'm aware of them trying to kill me, they cannot kill me. It doesn't count. So I should just go about as usual, but just be very aware. I don't know who would put a hit on me. I feel like I've been nice to everyone. Apparently not.
Turns out, wasn't very good at staying aware. But not only that, but it was a betrayal from one of my friends who was also another content creator.
No! I still had so much left to do at Hynafol. You saw nothing!
See, this is why you don't make YouTuber friends. They always end up stabbing you in the back. But no, Lantern was great. It was such a funny moment. Honestly, I was actually kind of glad it was her, because if I'm going to get stabbed, I want it to be on camera. That's the most YouTuber-y thing I think I've ever said. When the sun went down, that's when a lot of people would kind of chill, grab a drink. They had professional live music at the tavern each night, so it really did feel kind of more like a party-like atmosphere. However, there was also a bit of a sense of danger, because at night, monsters would appear from the mist and roam the streets.
Into a werewolf right in front of our tent.
Having monsters you could hunt just added this like new level of thrill to the night. But don't worry, it's not like Halloween Horror Nights level of like them jumping out and scaring you. You will see them walking down the street. One night, me and a friend were heading somewhere and then got like approached by a werewolf. I just ready my sword and go, "We want no trouble, beast. We simply want to pass." And they just kind of like snarled, but then went on their way. So enough to be a really fun moment, but it didn't feel like I had to drop whatever I was doing or else I was going to get killed by this werewolf. Also, if you want to completely opt out of any chance of getting attacked by a monster or another player, you can go to the archives and get something called a fairy band, and while you're wearing that, you are completely off limits to attack. I will admit I did enjoy the thrill, but I did tend to just spend more time hanging out with my friends than hunting monsters, especially at the little pop-up they had of Quincys Tavern. You know, like the Quincys Tavern that you see on TikTok, but in real life. Though when I was there, it did feel a little bit more like Quincys medieval board game cafe.
No!
The nut gets closer.
Don't dare say that.
Quincy.
He has beaten me again.
Thought they could defeat the tavern owner at his own game.
I told you I've never won.
Well, you still never won. What's up?
Nothing's
Sorry, you're
changed.
wonderful.
I'm still a loser.
I really wish I got more footage of Quincys Tavern during the day because he was like making soup for people, he was handing out quests, but every time I went over there, he was so kind and nice to talk to that I just kinda forgot. At night is also when they would host big events, including a masquerade ball. Everyone got dressed up in their finest outfits and got to enjoy an evening in the castle ballroom, though not without a couple of surprises.
No!
But mostly the night was filled with music, dancing, and also a little bit of gambling. It was so cool that they had like a castle event space that they could hold these like bigger, more formal events and shows. Though my favorite thing that happened was one day it got taken over by goblins, and we had to plan a siege on a castle to take it back. Real quick, if you made it to this point in the video, chances are that you just might be a huge freaking nerd. Sorry, them's the rules. You're the one watching a LARP video. So let me tell you about today's sponsor, World Anvil. World Anvil is the ultimate world building tool for writers, dungeon masters, and players alike. Its features have been meticulously crafted by other world builders to help you keep track of your notes and brainstorming while you're world building. Easily create wiki-like articles, in-depth timelines, and also interactive maps to share with your players. And DMs control what the players can and can't see, so you can give the information to them as they explore your world in an organized and immersive way. It's also really great for players as well, especially if you're someone like me who can never stay stay organized and now has to keep track of several different characters across LARPs and D&D campaigns. Being able to keep track of stats, equipment, notes, all in one tab is so useful. You can even run your game sessions in World Anvil, and it supports several different game systems, including D&D 5e. You can sign up and try World Anvil today, and once you're ready to upgrade, you can use code JUSTLESS for 51% any of their yearly subscriptions. World Anvil has been such an amazing returning sponsor on this channel, so please do check out the link below to check them out. All right, let's get back to sieging a castle from goblins.
We will destroy these beasts and free Hynafol for our people!
The way that this scenario was set up is that the players first had to get past the archers shooting from the castle wall, and then they had to fight their way through a hallway to the main room. And once they got there, they had to cut through another horde of goblins to get to the goblin leader, who was like the big final boss. All the while, even more archers were shooting from the balcony. It was so fun to watch, and especially everyone who was playing Goblin was having a blast. Now, the biggest and most influential part of Hynafol are the guilds. They are truly the driving force of this game. There are a ton of guilds that you can join, all with their own goals and alignments. Now, you don't need to join a guild. I did meet a lot of people who were going independent, but it is highly recommended because Hynafol as a game is designed to be played as a group. And being part of a guild is definitely the quickest way to make friends with other players because y'all all share a common goal of the good of the guild. Not to mention roleplay. What guild you join says a lot about your character. Are you one of the bards of Carnival, a ranger from the lodge, a historian from Virage Maru, a warrior of the order, or a mercenary for hire from the Golden Blades? Now, with all these guilds interacting in person, there's also a big meta game happening as well. There's this map called the Map of Arcana, and it's essentially a giant strategy game where all the guilds are trying to get resources, lands, and buildings. So it does become a bit of a political game of trying to make trades and alliances with other guilds. And guilds can even declare war on one another to try and take their lands, which is then actually fought in person at the event to see who gets it. Skirmishes are a lot of fun because they take place in the city and they're also a lot smaller. So you have to use a bit more strategy in order to win. I even got paid to fight in one of the skirmishes. I was heading over anyway, but then someone went like, hey, if you go over with the Golden Blades, they'll pay you. And I was like, oh, I was going to go hit people with a pike anyway. I might as well make some coin for it. The guild that I was a part of was the newly founded Wormguard, like W-Y-R-M, like the monster. We weren't like protecting over all the inchworms of Hynafol. Our guild was made up of a band of loyal knights who were set out on a quest to rid the world from monsters. I do believe our lore came from the fact that our like lands were attacked by like a giant cockatrice. So now it was like our heraldry on our tabards, and our battle cry was Huzzah Kaka. However, our guild situation was a bit interesting because not only was it the first year that Wormguard was like a guild, but also every single member was new to Hynafol. So it was kind of left up to us to figure out the vibes for this guild, and that might have been a terrible decision. We did go in with the idea of the loyal Monster Hunter Knights. Like on the first night, we planned this big hunt for our initiation where we would all get together and go hunt monsters, which we did do until we went past the open bar and we went, oh, we have to make sure that there's no monsters there. That was pretty much the rest of the hunt. I think we only went against one monster that night. We didn't even kill it. The monster actually might have won. Everyone in our guild kind of just wanted to cause chaos. Like one of our goals during the event was to somehow find orphans and arm them for battle. I think at one point we did try to start a religion that was blatantly just a pyramid scheme. Oh my god. One night, a member of our guild, Gwen, she was like talking about how she needed to make some money, and our guild solution was to give her a dagger and try and go get her to mug people walking past our tent.
Who's got coin though? For real. Who's got coin though?
I have no coin.
No coin?
No
bid?
Go for it. It'll be funny for the content.
Mind you, he will probably kill you with a spoon before you get the chance. I mean, it'd be funny.
Yeah, all robbers have a posse. Like, guys, like, come on.
All just standing watching.
She did eventually mug one person, but it was accidentally one of our other guild members coming back to camp. It was great getting to meet and know all my guildmates, and it led to all these like fun moments. And it was definitely a really good introduction into Hynafol that we were all getting at the same time. That being said, I might have enlisted in another guild at the end. What can I say? I vibed with the Golden Blades. I thought it was very funny that they kept on sending recruitment to our guild tent. I can appreciate their commitment to the bits and commitment to the bits. One of the coins is called a bit. I realize you need to know that in order to see the joke. They really like money. Now, where I really think that Hynafold's greatest strength is in its roleplay, whether it be small interactions in the community or big storytelling events. At Beacaline, there really wasn't a ton of roleplay happening. Yes, we were all there pretending to be in a fantasy world, but we weren't like developing characters. But at Hynafold, people would have so much fun with their characters and their costuming, their personalities, their motivations, and it just made it really great to interact with them. People would like start dueling in the streets because their characters were in the middle of the story. After going as a pretty like basic character this year, next year I really want to amp it up and do something more fun. And then what I really loved is how they wrapped up the whole story of the event. So basically based on the battles, Merlin won because like most people didn't trust Mordred. We were having a final ceremony where all the guilds were coming together and offering their guild artifacts in order to help bring magic back to the land.
Sense a disturbance in the mists.
To the castle! Now!
We all go over and see that Mordred had taken the castle, and we see his silhouette as he tells us that we made a huge mistake.
What I give to you comes at a steep cost, at least from those of you who survive.
People were taking their extra weapons and arming others around them, and all the guilds were coming together to fight this new threat.
Be good! Hey! Consider golden chain! You owe us money! Absolutely so cool. Such a good way to close out an event. I mean, yeah, Merlin did die, but it was super fun. But at the end, we did learn that before the battle that Merlin appointed new mages, which is more than likely going to affect the game and the game's mechanic at the next event. Not only was it a lot of fun, but then we also got a nice satisfying ending to what we did during the event. Now, I'm sure that some people might look at this and go, what a weird way to spend your vacation. Out in the woods, camping and dressing up. The way I view it is that you kind of take vacations for different reasons. Sometimes you want to travel and see the world, and sometimes you really want to escape it. And truly, that's what the essence of these LARP events are, coming together and escaping the world. Whatever is happening outside, that's out there. For a few days, you're in here. Make friends. Live in the moment. Enjoy it. I am so grateful for that escape. There was no phones, there was no technology. You were out there just enjoying nature, enjoying people, and being part of this game. Every time that I post about going to these LARP events, I always get comments from people saying, oh, that looks so cool, I want to do this so bad, but I don't have anyone to go with. As someone who's now gone to 2 of these events alone, I would argue that this is one of the best places to travel alone. LARP is a social game. People want to talk to you. People want to invite you in on the fun. Everyone there is a nerd who went, yeah, I want to go and dress up in the woods and hit each other with foam sticks. Sign me up. If this is something you're interested in, these are your people. I made friends at these LARPs that I still regularly talk to on Discord and like started a D&D campaign with. I made a lot of decisions and changes in my life this year, and the one that I do not regret in the slightest is getting out of my comfort zone and trying LARPing. The joy it brings, the confidence I felt, all the amazing people I got to meet, the new skills that it encouraged me to learn, the views it gets me on YouTube. Sorry, it's getting a little sappy. I need to throw that in there. That's why it's so exciting that there are new growing games like Hynafol, and it's bringing this unique experience to new players. If you are interested in attending Hynafol, I'll leave the links with more information in the description. It's only their 3rd year and they're constantly working on making it better and better, so I'm excited to see how it grows. If you so happen to stumble upon this video and enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. If you would like to see my previous LARP adventure, that will be up here. And of course, thank you to these lovely Patreon members for helping support these silly little adventures. And as always, I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!